Hey everyone, welcome to the Yoga in Black podcast. If you're not new, however, welcome back. I'm Tierney, your host, and this show is all about the experiences of Black yoga and wellness professionals. Each episode, I'm joined with a new guest, and we'll just have a conversation between two peers about our experiences within the yoga and wellness industries, and also highlight where you can find their classes. At the forefront, this show is all about letting you know that Black folks are out here in this wellness industry doing amazing things that you can experience. So, with that said, grab your favorite beverage. You know, I got mine in the favorite mug, and let's have a chat. This is your friendly reminder that all episodes of this podcast are pre recorded and some topics or events discussed may be outdated. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is the Yoga in Black podcast, and I am your host, Tierney. This week, I am joined by the Flo Brewer. I'm not going to say any more. As always, Flo, go on and share your story.
Well, thank you for having me, Tierney. I appreciate it. My story began with a ruptured Achilles tendon. I ruptured my Achilles tendon. Girl, I was actually dancing in the kitchen. It was not anything cool. It was
Why is it
not
always the everyday stuff that just
right. The little
sweeps
things
you off
that
your feet?
literally take you out. The doctor said it was a freak accident. I was a high school athlete, and it was going to happen sooner or later, right? But I ruptured my Achilles tendon, had surgery, had to go to therapy, and I had always wanted to try yoga, but I was intimidated. And then for some reason, I was like, I think standing on one foot's gonna help me out here, you know? And so that's when I actually went to my first yoga class. It was at a LA Fitness, and I actually knew the instructor, and she was a great instructor. And yeah, it was like it did help with my recovery. It helped with my corporate job at the time, stress levels. I mean, we all know the benefits of yoga, but that's what really got me into it and got me hooked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, that Achilles injury is something brutal. I've seen it. I haven't had it happen to myself, but I've seen it happen to several different friends, and it's a rough one.
It is. I mean,
Ugh.
there was literally days I was crawling around. Just it's
Yeah.
shameful. It was shameful. But yeah,
Oh
now
my
I mean my leg
goodness.
is good. I mean I can stand one leg, and honestly I feel like it's actually a little bit stronger than my opposite leg. So I'm back. I'm back. I'm
Yes.
recovered. I'm recovered. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Hell yeah. I'm all about that. So, is yoga your main profession, or do you have something else that you use or spend a lot of time in as far as work is concerned?
Yeah, so yoga is becoming more of my main profession. I'll say that. I left corporate during the pandemic. So long story short, my parents have owned a dry cleaner since I was in elementary school, and so basically I've taken it over. And I'm trying to modernize it, more technology, use of an app, trying to make it more tech friendly and more current day. People don't work from home. I mean, people work from home, so they're not dry cleaning clothes. They're not going anywhere. So we've been focusing on wash and fold. So during the day, that is what I focus on. It's fold DFW. If you're in the DFW area, it's literally fold DFW. We'll come to your house, pick up your clothes, wash and fold them, and then we'll drop them off. Or your event space, or your medical office. We do commercial and residential. So that is like my full-time gig. But yoga, obviously, as I was transitioning, leaving corporate and taking this over, uh, yoga was a good supplement, and so I started teaching more. I think I really started teaching 2021, like August 2021 is when I really started amping it up and started teaching multiple times a week, and then started teaching at multiple places. And so yeah, now yoga it's solid. That's it's definitely helping. Yeah, it's becoming more of a thing. for me.
That
Um,
is so cool.
yeah. And so I would say I'm a little different from the average local yoga instructor because I got certified in 2014. I went to
Hmm.
India for a month, and that's where I got certified in 2014, December 2014. But I would only teach like one class a week. I taught at this little boutique studio. I wasn't really trying to make a name for myself, trying to build an audience. I didn't have the time for all of that, right? But I travel. I'm a solo traveler. I've been traveling since I was in my 20s by myself. And when I was traveling and I went to other yoga retreats, I was like, this is cool, but we need fun yoga retreats too. Like, you can come get your namaste, but still have a good time and still explore, not do yoga for 8 hours, you know? And so I
Yeah.
spent most of my yoga career hosting retreats. And I really just started more so teaching
Nice.
locally a couple years ago.
That is so cool because I've been stalking your Instagram for a little bit here, and seeing the images that come back from your retreats, they look so fun, so fun. Like everyone is just beaming the entire time. You're in these amazing locations. Like you've got a knack for picking out the perfect space. Cultivating the right energy. It looks like a dope ass time.
Well,
What's
thank you.
what's probably the hardest part? Oh, you're so welcome. But I'm curious, what's the hardest part about planning a retreat?
So I think I'm a natural planner. So planning it is easy. What I will say is I'm not a marketing person. That's definitely the skill set I don't have. Like I'm a yoga instructor. I can plan an event, but selling it,
Yes.
I think people don't when you say, hey, come to this yoga retreat, come to this destination, is going to cost $500, $1,000, $2,000. People are looking at you like, what? Like, why is it worth
Right.
my time and money, right? And so
Hmm.
that's the part that's not necessarily my skill set. All I can really talk about is like, hey, I've been doing this I've been doing this for a long time. I do take pride in trying to find cool places that are aesthetically pleasing. I want people to be happy, right? I want quality for
Yeah.
my retreats. If we're going to travel all the way, my next retreat is April 9th. We're going to Bali. We're going to go all the way to Bali. We're going to go see Bali too. I feel like
Yeah.
that it's not, we're going, yoga is the initial point that's getting us there. But once we get there, there's so much you learn about yourself and you learn about cultures and environments when you truly explore. And so I like to
Yes.
have that be part of the retreat as well. And fun. I mean, I would say, even though it is, some people may view it differently, but people come to my retreat and usually first day people want to turn up. They're just happy to be on vacation in a sense.
Exactly. Getting out of the grind. Yes.
Right. And so on my retreats, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I understand some people want to detox, because obviously everyone approaches it differently. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to encourage drinking, but I'm not opposed to it by any means. After we're done with our events, if people want to go enjoy some nightlife, like I said, if we're traveling a far distance, I want you to experience the place and all that it has to offer.
Yeah.
So people do come to my retreats and they do have fun. We went to Tulum, we went to the beach. Um, it's always going to be a good time because I like to have fun myself. I like to have fun too. And it's a good way to get to know people, especially like as a planner and the host. It's really when we're
Yeah.
sitting down. Look, I'm gonna grab my wine. When I'm sitting down having a glass of wine with someone at the end of the day, that's when we get to have like real intimate conversations and we start to build bonds. So
Yes.
I enjoy that.
I love that approach. And I love what you said about, really experiencing the culture of wherever it is that you're going, because that's one of the greatest draws to traveling is getting to experience how people live outside of where you do. Like
Right.
experiencing something different, learning how they do things, or just, whatever else there is to experience. that staying on the resort thing for a retreat is, depending on the type of retreat that you're going to, cool. But if you're going, if, like you said, if I'm going to Bali, I want to see Bali.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, and we'll have intensive retreats for like yoga instructors, for yoga instructors and those that are super serious and ready, advanced yogis, that want that more intensive, we'll have that. As I said, I got certified in India. I want to take a group back to India, just
yes,
to go in depth, right? So that one, yes, you're not going to be turning up at a beach. You're going to probably be learning more about yoga philosophy and things like that.
yeah,
But for the average person, people do want to have an opportunity to have a different kind of vacation where you're not just stuck on a resort. You don't need me if you just want to go to an all-inclusive resort. You don't need me for that, right? And I
exactly.
recognize that. But if you want to have a vacation and you want to do something in the morning or throughout the day that's going to refine you, improve you, have moments of reflection, but then you can still have a vacation and go home, in a little better mind state mentally and physically from doing yoga. That's really my aim and my goal.
Nice. That's so cool. I'm excited for your upcoming stuff. Fingers crossed I can afford one soon. Oh my goodness. Living the life of a yoga instructor as your sole career. It's rough.
I get it, girl. I get it. But we do got payment plans. We do got payment
I
plans
like it.
because I do
Nice.
understand that. Yes, we got payment plans because no matter
That
what,
is
a
dope.
payment plan helps. It helps acquire the things that we want and
Big time.
desire. So,
Big
and
time. So I want to rewind and go way back into your very first yoga experience. Could you describe it to me a little bit more? Because we briefly talked about it, but what were the things that came up for you in that experience?
so, as I said, my very first yoga experience, it was at a LA Fitness. Um, but I knew the instructor. And this girl, I'm not gonna lie, when I first met her, I didn't care for her. She was dating my friend. She was dating my friend, and I didn't like her for my friend. Like, I'm be honest, I didn't like her for my friend. But as a yoga instructor, I love her. I love her, and now we have a completely different relationship. But she is an English major. She's a writer. And when I walked into class, she read a poem. She started off by reading a poem, and it was a poem about a tree, and incorporated that throughout the class. And
Nice.
that, to me, I was like, oh, this is like, I just thought that's what yoga was. For one, I thought it was dope. Like the metaphors, the
Yeah.
being rooted and grounded, right? Growing tall, um, dealing with the winds of life, things like that. And I thought that's what yoga was about. And then I started going to other places and I was like, oh no, that was just Aubrey that taught that way. That was just her. But that stuck with me, and I now teach in a similar fashion. For me, that was that mental connection,
Yeah.
to where someone brings a topic of some sort or something to think about and can weave it throughout the class. For me, that creates more of an experience. And
Oh yeah.
that's now the way that I teach, and what I want to provide for other people as well, is like that mental escape as well, beyond just the physical.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure her as an English major and a writer, she's got all the beautiful words. I wish I had
Right.
that. Like I
Right.
really do. I wish I did, but I'm not the beautiful words instructor. I'm more of the trying to connect it all right along with you, and we're gonna stumble the way through
Hey,
it.
it's okay. That's why we call it yoga practice, right? It's all
Yes,
practice.
exactly. And
Yes.
it's been that way ever since I started.
But that first experience, as I said, during that time I was still at my corporate job, and I remember in Shavasana being quiet, it really just brought a sense of peace to me. I felt like it brought clarity to some things, and that little hour really really made significant change for the rest of my week. You know what I'm saying? Just having that moment to myself, having that moment to silence and be quiet and sort of figure things out. It seemed like all the stuff I was stressing
Yes.
about, all of a sudden I had the solutions or had like a direction or a path. And that for
Yes.
me, like money can't buy that. You know, like I was just like, sign me up. I will come back here if I can help fix my life. Like help get my life right. Help me figure out a
Exactly.
plan. Yes.
Yes, because I had that similar, it's like once I had that experience that allowed me that silence and stillness within the self, I was like, oh, yeah, I got to do this every day. There's no
Right.
way I can stop. Like, because this is really nice not hearing that inner chatter all the time. Oh my goodness. This practice saved so much for me. Oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit more about the journey from taking your practice to just an individual thing, a personal thing, into coming into an instructor.
So I, oh, well, I have two opposing thoughts. I have two opposing thoughts. Okay. So on one hand, I did sort of think yoga was going to be my retirement plan. That's like deep down, that's what I said. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be some old lady teaching other old ladies how to stretch their body. And that, like, when I retire and I'm old, I was like, I'm gonna be a yoga instructor. That was like, that was
Yeah.
it. But I didn't really have like, I didn't really have a vision as to how that would look like, how I would get there. I was just like, yo, it'll be my retirement plan. It'll be something I'll do, you know, later in life, is what I thought, later in life. The reason I went to India was I'm a solo traveler, and typically at the end of the year, I would always take a big trip. I like starting the new year off in new places. So I would usually save up my money or airline points, whatever, and take a big trip at the end of the year. And I think something was just like, go learn more about yoga and go to India to do so. And so, yeah, honestly, real talk, and this is for all the other yogis out there. Um, it was cheaper for me to go to India to become a certified teacher than any local certification. This was obviously 2014. I do feel like since COVID, there is a lot more places where you can get certified for a cheaper
Yeah.
price. I would question the quality, I'm not gonna lie. But at that time, what it took, because India is cheap. Like, yes, my flight may have cost whatever, but to actually stay there for a month was cheap in comparison to three G's at that time, 2,000, 3,000 to get certified here at that time. So for me, it made dollars and cents for me to go over there. And I had a lot of vacation time. I had saved up airline points and my money, and I went for a month there and got certified. And because of that, I will say my teaching is slightly different, you know. But like I said, going back to like Aubrey and her bringing in that mental aspect, that's something that I wanted to do. And I felt like learning in a place like India helped me bring that aspect to it, to my teaching. But yeah, honestly, it just started at the
Wow.
core of it. It started because I want to travel. I was looking to get away, and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go do this. I'm gonna just do this. You know, honestly, it wasn't till I came back and I really wasn't even looking for a job, a yoga job. Like I said, I was really just trying to do it for myself. And the same person, Aubrey, she was like, "Hey, I need a sub. Like, I don't have anyone. Can you teach?" And I was like, "What? Like me?" She was like, "You certified, right?" I was like, "Well, I am. Yeah, I guess you're right." But you know, I mean,
Yeah.
teaching your first class, regardless of how
Put
certified
me
you
on the
may think
spot
you
like
are,
that. Like, dang.
right? Teaching your first class, like spur of the moment. Can you sub for me tonight? I was like, oh shit. It got real,
Tell me why
but
somebody did that to me in teacher training. I'm like, I don't even know what is happening right now. It's like, but you're in
right.
the training program, right? Like, yeah,
I'm
like
in the
we've
training
only been doing this a
program.
month. Give me some,
Give
like,
me
give
time.
me some break.
But I feel like honestly, and and I'm sure other yoga instructors can agree. Sometimes it's that sink or swim, like being pushed into it
It
is
is.
it's what really was like, oh, well, I guess I gotta do this now. And we survived for that
Rip the
hour.
Band-Aid off.
Right. We survived for that hour. And yeah, actually after that, she was like, "Oh, they actually liked you. You want to come back? You want to take Monday nights?" You like it. Then it became a regular thing, so it all worked out. But I definitely wasn't really trying to teach people at the beginning. I think I was just content being like, "Yeah, I got a yoga certification." That was it for me. I was trying to
Oh.
improve my practice.
Man,
Yeah.
that's wild. Oof. But I'm still over here just flabbergasted at what you said about the pricing of your training in India being more affordable. I mean, I can believe it, but the fact that all of that, spending a month in India, the travel, the whatever they charge for fees for the program, more like or at
Right.
least comparative to what we spend just to do this domestically, that's wild to me.
No, real talk.
And
At the
I
time,
understand it, but it's wild that we charge so much within the states to do this.
so girl, there's a whole. I ain't trying to go on a tangent, but um, yoga is definitely a product that is being capitalized here in the States. It's definitely sold, uh, it's packaged and sold in a certain aspect,
Hmm.
and so in some aspects, the essence of it has gotten lost. As we know,
Yes.
yoga sometimes is very physical. That's what people
Yes.
understand it to be or perceive it to be, when, as we know, yoga is definitely not just physical. That's the top layer, if anything, or the bottom layer, if anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, at the time, it yoga teacher training for like a month, I do remember seeing like $3,000 and stuff like that, and it was about 2,000 for me to go to India. 2,000 for my yoga training, and then I think my flight may have been 7 to 900. So it was comparable by the time you add it all up, but for
Right.
me, it
But the
was
fact
just
that there's
like,
all those extra pieces, that's,
right,
yeah.
yes, flight and all of that. I mean, so over there, my meals were included, my accommodations were included, all of that. It was really, this is the cost plus my flight, and then any little spending money, which honestly, I would just like get cookies every day from this one little bakery. Like I was
That's
spending my
so
money on
cute.
stupid stuff. I was so in yoga teacher training in India, I was in Rishikesh, India. Rishikesh is like northern India. It got really popular because the Beatles went there. The
Yeah.
Beatles went there in the 60s, and they said when they came back, that's when their music sort of changed a little bit. They definitely became more like hippie, new age, whatever. So they have like a Beatles ashram, and people go there for this like spiritual journey awakening, and it sort of stemmed from the Beatles, right? Um,
Oh, wow. Hold on a
but
minute. That just makes so much more sense because I always wondered where that came from of folks just, in droves going to India for enlightenment. I'm like, why do you think that that's what's happening? I didn't know it was because of the damn Beatles.
girl, yeah, so yeah, I mean, because obviously, I mean, as one could imagine, they were quite the sensation back in the 60s, right? And so
Exactly.
for them to
Yes.
be like, we're going to take time out, and they went and spent time in India. There's literally a place called the Beatles ashram, because that's where they were at. I don't know how long they were there, whatever. That's however long they were at. But um,
Wow.
it really people started to be like, oh, well, maybe I need to go see it for myself, or go. So while there, you adapt to the culture. That's just me. Any place I travel, I adapt to the culture. They're
Yeah.
vegetarian. They're vegetarian. And I remember talking to my friend, and she was like, "Oh man!" Like at that time, I definitely was not vegetarian. And she was like, "Man, you're doing yoga all the time. I'm sure you're gonna come back so slim and trim and skinny." And I was like, "Yeah, but there's this bakery I'll be going to get these cookies at every day." Like I seriously was spending my
The
money on like
cookies.
cookies, like compensating for the lack of beef and chicken. I was filling myself with sweets and did not come back home skinny by any means. Any means.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's hard to pass up cookies. Cookies are a vice for me. I love cookies,
Right. Sugar cookies are
especially
my
like
thing.
fresh baked cookies. Oh, I'm
Right.
snickerdoodle.
That's my
Oh,
second. I got sugar, snickerdoodle, and white macadamia. Those that gets me every time.
ooh,
Mm.
yes, yeah. Don't present me with cookies. It's hard for me to say no. But you know what? Most days I'm like, no, give me the cookies. Give me the cookies.
Right.
I'd have probably done the same thing you did. Like,
Girl,
yes,
yeah,
I
I
know
was I
all of
was
these things are provided, but the cookies smell good. How long it's gonna be before they're done?
right. Yeah, that's kind of stuff I spent my money on in yoga teach training.
I want to know more about your solo travels. What sparked your interest in just packing up and going on your own?
Oh man. I like to think this is a good story. It was a defining moment for me, honestly. It changed my life. So, basically, at the time, I was in corporate. I was working on a project in California. So, I was flying out to California like every week,
Wow.
Monday through Friday, for
Whew.
months. And so I started to get like all these airline points, all these hotel points. I was racking up. At one point I was executive platinum with American Airlines. I was like platinum with like Marriott, all kinds of stuff. And so it was like Thanksgiving night. It was Thanksgiving night 2011. Thanksgiving night, family gone. I was just in my room and I was just like, you know what? I think I want to go somewhere for New Year's Eve, but it's Thanksgiving, right? I'm talking about traveling for New Year's Eve, right? And as we
Yeah,
know,
that's pretty
travel,
quick.
right? Traveling during the holidays is pricey. No matter how you slice and dice it, it's pricey. And I was just like, I'm looking at my airline points, I'm looking at my hotel points, and I'm like, I could do this. Like, I can pull this off. This can happen. But I was like, well, who's gonna go with me? So of course, send a group chat, send a text out to a couple people. They like, what? Like, girl, where are you even going? First of all, like, where are you trying to go first? And then like, what? Like that, like you said, that's like in a month. That's in 5 weeks. I had
Yeah.
one guy friend who he was actually traveling to Asia for work. So I knew he had all the points and all that kind of stuff, and he could make it happen real quick. And I text him and he was like, yeah, cool, like let's do it. And then like 2 weeks later, he was like, I actually gotta be in Asia like January 3rd, so I can't go. Like right after the new year,
Dang.
he had to be in Asia. So he was like, I can't go. And the reason I say it was a life defining moment is because I'm a single woman. And as a single woman, I had to make the decision like, am I gonna do this because I don't have someone to do it with me? Am I gonna do it? Like I have the means, I can, or am I gonna let the fact that no one can do it with me stop me from going? You know? And I was just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And so so I had already picked my destination. At that time, I had Googled like best fireworks in the world. Sydney pull up number one. Sydney, Australia. That was a little too far. Like that was a little too pricey. It was very
Yeah.
pricey to go to Australia. I was like, okay, I can't go that far. Uh, I think it was like Sydney, Hong Kong, Singapore,
Mm.
Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro was like top five. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool, Rio de Janeiro. And yeah, I ended up going to Brazil. I went to Rio de Janeiro for my first international trip. I have been very blessed that in all my travels, I have always felt very safe.
Good.
Traveling as a Black woman, I think people very much respect us. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Like they're like, I feel like people don't look at me and think like she's naive. Let me scam her. Like I don't feel like people give me that energy. They look at me as like, oh, okay, she's fine. I think honestly, I do feel like being a Black traveler. Period. We have a grace that other ethnicities aren't necessarily afforded. People don't look at us and feel like they're the person I want to f with.
Yeah.
They would go to someone else. So yeah, that's what sort of once I did it, I was like, if I did it once, I'll do it again. And so, um, I would always, like I said, as long as I was working in California or traveling for work, I would always save my points. And then it became a thing of me just taking a trip at the end of the year. Like I just started now at this point, I just like starting a new year in a new place. And so for years, I would started the new year in a new place. Yeah.
That is so
And
cool. Where'd you go this year or this turn
oh,
of the
so
year?
well, this year I went to DC, but still, it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
I went to DC and had a good time. I love DC. Like, actually, DC is like, I know a lot of people go to Vegas or they go to like different places that they go to have fun. I actually have a lot of
Yeah.
fun in Washington DC, believe it or not. The food is always good and it's always a great time.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I have traveled on my own. I've been to 5 continents and
Nice.
over 20 countries. And so yeah. And like I said,
Go
so
girl.
thank you, thank you. And I mean, I would encourage anybody, I do feel like I see a wave of people wanting to do it. I would say take the step, plan properly, plan your accommodations, plan in advance, and take the leap and do it. Like you can do it, especially if you live on your own. It's the same street smarts. The same street smarts you apply in your local city. You don't go do stupid stuff at nighttime, right? You don't go do stupid stuff at nighttime anywhere. Like that's just common sense. They don't do it if you're not gonna do it at home, don't do it anyplace else. So use your street smarts,
Exactly.
of course. And yeah, I think you people can do it. People can do it. It's not for everybody, but if you have that desire, I believe that you can find a way to make it happen. And go see the world. Like you said, I'm all about experiencing cultures. I like to see how different people live. No judgment. I feel like there's always something to learn from other cultures. You know,
Oh,
and I enjoyed
100%.
that. I feel like that's how I grow as a person and learn for sure.
I love that. I wanted to go back to what you had mentioned about feeling safe while you're traveling as a Black woman. How much of that do you think is because of the experience that we have as Black people in this country? Or is it also peppered in with the fact that we are technically the global majority?
In every society, right, there is a hierarchy, and there's always someone at the bottom that is seen as inferior. Unfortunately, in these United
Mm-hmm.
States, that would be us, right? And so when I do
Mm-hmm.
travel other places, that's not to say there's not discrimination or racism in other places, but
Right.
some of the fears and considerations that I have to deal with here, I don't have to think of as other in other places. So for one, people do respect the fact that you're black. Like in Asia, people are just excited to see a black person. I'm be honest. They want to, I mean, they literally will want to touch your hair and they're like just amazed. But you can tell
Yeah.
it's not hatred, it's curiosity, you
Yeah.
know. You definitely
It's
can
lack
get
of exposure. Yeah.
right, right. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel safe when I travel by myself. I think sometimes, honestly, I feel like I get a lot of preferential treatment when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, honestly, like if I'm checking into the hotel, like there was this one time this girl was like, "It's just you," and she was just like, "Oh," and she put me in a suite, like a nice one. But I feel like sometimes if I'm going out to a club or
Mm.
something, just by myself, like if you step up there by yourself, it's like, "Oh, just you," like come on in.
Come on
I have
in. Yeah.
seen. I've seen where I maneuver in some places a little better when it's just me by myself. And I always
Nice.
find a friend. And honestly, I am like shy. I am not Miss Social Butterfly. Like I am a shy person. I can be very introverted. However, when I travel, I guess maybe I'm not as shy when I travel, but I usually find a friend along the way. I have actually when I was in Abu Dhabi, I spent one New Year's in Abu Dhabi and ended up meeting three other girls that were there by themselves. And we just ended up hanging up for the rest of the time. And I was just like, wow,
I
I
love
started this
that.
journey by myself and now like we got a whole little crew. It's interesting how you meet people along the way.
This sounds like something straight out of a movie. I love that. That is so
It can
adorable.
be. It can be.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I am eager to finally get back into some traveling things. I'll be completely honest. I just got my passport in 2021. Yeah, and I'm eager to keep using it more
Yeah.
because
It's all good
I'm
because
sick of it
honestly,
here.
I legit just said I enjoy going to Washington D.C. There's still so many places domestically.
Yeah,
I've been discovering Colorado. Like, I was like, Colorado's sort of dope. I like it out here. Like there's places that are domestic as well that people can travel to and explore. It doesn't always have to be overseas. I think for me, so like that's I guess that's
yeah.
me trying to escape. But when I dip, like I like to
The
dip.
same,
Like
because
I'm
that's where I'm at. I'm like, can we get out of these borders of the whole country for a second? Because I just
right.
need to
I'm like,
experience something outside of this whole place. Because, yeah, each state, each city does things differently, but it's still all on the same land, same structure. I'm good.
fair
So
enough.
I
I
gotta live it
understand
every
that.
day. Like, let me get out of here and explore something else. Like, I want to go somewhere where I don't know the language and have to figure it out.
That would be France.
Yes.
That would be France.
That would be a good one. I don't know a
That would
single
be
word
that was. I'm not gonna lie. That's a difficult one. I've been to Paris a couple times, and I was actually telling my sister this. I'm part of a travel group. It was one of the
Nice.
first black travel groups. It's called No Madness Travel Tribe. I felt like they were one of the first black travel groups, but they didn't really capitalize and make a name for themselves the way like other travel groups and stuff have
Yeah.
recently. But No Madness Travel Tribe was one of the first groups that catered to black travelers and would really provide tips on like stay at this place or this is a cool restaurant and all that kind of stuff. And there was one year someone was like, "Hey, who wants to go to Paris for New Year's?" And so there was about 20 of us that just everyone booked their own trip, did their own thing, and met up in Paris, you know?
Nice.
And at nighttime, we would all like meet up. Like some people go do stuff during the day, and then at nighttime, we'd meet up for dinner. But it was your own vacation, but you still had people you could hang out with. But in December in Paris, it was extremely cold. I didn't know the language. It was cold. And so I honestly spent a lot of time in my room just because I was like, I'm not ready for out there. Like that language barrier was a little too much. Usually I can get away with some
Yeah.
broken English, broken Spanish, but that French, I was like, oof, this in the cold, that
Don't
was a
know a
deterrent.
single bit of it.
Right. It was a
Oh,
deterrent for
man.
me.
I'm so sorry. Ugh. So, since I still want to stay on this travel thread because I'm really fascinated by everything that you have to talk about. Um, what tips would you give to those that are interested in getting into solo travel if they haven't already?
So for one, I would say do your research. That's first and foremost. Do your research, like your own research. I think one of my biggest fear when I travel is usually when I'm leaving the airport. I feel like I'm at the vulnerability of a taxi cab driver. That's really the time I feel most vulnerable because I don't know where I'm going and I don't know where they're taking me. Make sure your transportation is in order to get you where you need to go safely. I do
Ooh,
feel like Instagram provides one aspect of places. So go beyond the Instagram pictures that you see because everyone's going to the same two two to five top Instagrammable places, right? But
mhm.
majority of time places have way more to offer than what you can see on Instagram. I actually took
Nice.
a group trip with some friends to Greece. And I mean, I remember like seeing top places in Mykonos, blah blah blah, in Mykonos, blah blah blah. And then when we get there, I'm like, well, how come no one has said this or this? And there's a black sand beach here. No one said that. Like, if you don't take your own research and do your own research, you will miss out on truly what's attractive to you or what you think is
Yeah.
dope. So figure out what's cool for you. And then yeah, give your emergency information to someone. Like always tell somebody your information. There's
Hmm.
You can sign up with the U.S. Embassy, and I feel like this may scare people, but it's the truth. You can sign up with the U.S. Embassy and let them know where you're going. So let's say you went to, I don't know, who knew? Let's say you went to Ukraine, right, as an example, and then Russia bombed them. The U.S. would
Yeah.
know that you were there, and the U.S. Embassy could come get you. So it's
Okay.
called like the STEP program. If you're going to a far destination, and all you do is just put your travel dates, say, hey, I'm a US citizen, I'm traveling here and here, these dates. And yes, it's basically they got a radar on you as a US citizen. If something does go down, whether it's catastrophic, if some hurricane comes, worst case
Yeah.
scenario, they will come get you. So that
Nice.
and yeah, try to figure out, as I said, transportation is important. Not every place has Uber, but try to figure out the local Uber. There's always some kind of app in some regard,
Yeah.
but try to figure that out.
Okay. That transportation piece is really helpful because that makes a world of sense. Because I don't know, I've never felt comfortable with cabs for some reason. Even though
Yes.
I'm from Iowa, I never really had that much of an experience with cabs like that. But they all like just what I would see on the media. I'm just like, this seems so sketchy. I don't know if I
No,
would do that.
right. I
Like
mean, I feel like
they could take you wherever they wanted to take you, and you just
that
trust in that. Like, nah, I'm good.
exactly. I mean, you nowadays you can sort of GPS it, right? You can put
Exactly.
So here's the thing, though, is sometimes your phone is not going to act the same way when you
Yeah,
go overseas.
that roaming.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna act different. So you may not always have accessibility to Wi-Fi the way you would. So
Hmm.
in some cases, you can look it up on Google Maps, make sure, hey, I'm going the right direction. But in some cases, you won't have
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Um, so yeah, I would say I didn't really think of that. I'm sorry, I haven't really thought of that to what I would tell somebody. But for those of you that
No,
are out
that
there,
was
send
all
me an
great
email. I'm
advice.
like, send me an email. I'll let you know. Like, shoot me an email. I'll let you know if I think of more.
Yes.
But yeah, I think traveling apps. Oh, one of my favorite apps is XE Currency Converter. You got to know your money. It helps you
Yeah.
understand your currency. If you're traveling overseas, it's called XE something exchange. I don't know, something exchange. But yes, it helps you understand your money so that you're not getting gypped. That's important.
Yes. Big time. Since you've combined your love for travel and your love for yoga, if you haven't already been to it, what would be your top 5 bucket list destinations for a yoga retreat for you to host?
For me, so I'm going to
Yeah.
Bali. Yeah, I'm going to Bali. So when my name of my company is Refined Flow. I probably should have plugged that way earlier in this. But refinedflow.com, FLOW, like yoga flow, not like my name. Refinedflow.com. When I started the company, the very first trip. So real quick side note, I go to
Yeah.
places that I've been before so that I can tell you this is how the culture is, this is how to make it through the airport, all that kind of stuff. When I
Yeah.
started the company, the first trip I took was to Thailand and Bali.
Nice.
And Bali is dope. Bali is cool. Bali for years was a yogi's dream. I do
Mm.
feel like since it has become Instagrammable, it has changed a little bit. It's not as
Yeah.
much eat, pray, love. It's more like selfie. It's Instagrammable place. So where it was more this little island that really, really was like a yogi's paradise. Now it's sort of been opened up to the world and more people go there. But Bali definitely, it's still at the core, the culture's still there. The food is amazing. The people are overly nice. Bali is still there. My favorite place, I love Thailand. I love, love Thailand. Like I would buy a house there. I plan to have one eventually. Yes, I will have one eventually there.
Yes.
I
Speak it
I
into existence. Yes.
Yes, girl, yes. Thailand is it has everything. Like the topography, there's mountains, there's beaches. Bangkok is this bustling city, like with all kinds of things. I went to a ping pong show, and y'all need to Google that if you don't know what a ping pong show is in Thailand. Google that. But
Yes.
it has high end, low end, like really high end, and then really low end. You get some marvelous food for $3, you know, but you get some
Mm,
really high end food. You get some really high end, nice rooftops. Like, I love the variety Thailand has to offer.
man.
Um, I have not been to Lisbon, but I hear dope things about Lisbon, Portugal. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to go check it out. I hear it is becoming a place more for Black travelers. I hear the beaches are nice, and it is a place I want to check out. Um, I'm
Nice.
also I'm also hearing cool things about Belize. I haven't been to
Yeah.
Belize, but I mean, on our side of the world, you know, Central America, Guatemala, Belize, like these places are now popping and very welcoming. Outside of
Nice.
Africa, South America, and Central America, Caribbean, of course, definitely welcome Black travelers. You know, we are very much welcome there.
Yes.
And so I would say Belize, Guatemala, these are places I haven't been, that I think it would be dope to host retreats there as well. Yeah. And how
Nice.
many?
That's a good list.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I like that list. Yes. I know, like, did you have one more?
Another one
It
I
looked
have,
like you
so
had one more.
yeah, so this, honestly, I think this just on a personal note, it just looks so pretty to me. St. Lucia. St. Lucia
Ooh,
looks
yeah.
really cool. So I'm be honest, it looks pricey. I don't know if it's retreat friendly, because it looks like a
Mhm.
very, I feel like St. Lucia and Turks and Caicos are like the very wealthy Caribbean islands, you know, which is
Yeah.
cool to visit, but not retreat friendly, because no one's really trying to pay $3,500 for a weekend, you know? So I don't know
Right.
if it could be for a retreat, but the landscape, it looks stunning. It looks like a very
Yes.
peaceful, beautiful place.
Like postcard worthy type stuff every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
Like
needless
no
to
matter
say,
where you're at.
right. So obviously, I know my geography because I've been like that since I was a little girl, and that is what has helped me discover new places and have the desire to see new places. I've always been like that. You ever watch Carmen San Diego when you were younger? I don't know how old you
Oh
are, but
yeah. Yes.
but
Yeah.
Carmen San Diego was this. It was she was a jewel thief, and she would go around the world, and they would show like, oh, she's in Italy, and you know, they would show all these clues about like landmarks in Italy, and I was like, I want to go see all this stuff for myself.
hmm
So,
Yeah, she definitely, that show sparked a lot of interest in just seeing the world. Um, and I always felt like I was living vicariously through that show because,
right,
like, I don't know if I'll ever see this, but I saw it on Carmen Sandiego.
right.
Man, gosh, those throwback shows are so good. They
They
introduced
were,
so much. Oh
yeah,
my
girl,
goodness.
they were informational. You know, people act like these kids don't learn nothing from TV. I learned a lot, but I don't know how the programming is now. But in the '80s, they were informational, and yeah, I definitely like.
Yes.
I learned a lot about geography from that particular show, and I felt like that has tied into my travels for sure.
Love that. Man, I could totally see you doing, and like this is totally off topic. I enjoy costumes, but I could totally see you doing like a Carmen San Diego cosplay with the big head,
With that hat
nice
and the trench
that
coat,
red
girl,
coat.
please,
Yeah,
I do it in a
that big red
heartbeat.
trench coat.
And
Yes, I could see you
flash a
doing
couple
that. A
people
nice
just
red
for
lip.
grins and giggles.
Yes.
And flash a couple people just for grins and giggles along the way. Yeah,
Yes, I
that
could
would be.
totally see it. Like just Flo, Carmen, or Carmen Flo Diego.
Yeah, that would be funny. One of my best friends, she
Oh my
actually like if ever I'm going somewhere, she calls me Carmen. She calls me Carmen. So
gosh. I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
Mhm.
So circling back to a little bit more yoga related things, and since you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area, um, What kind of things do you see yourself offering locally?
So I teach at the Highland Hotel, and I'm gonna start doing a monthly series there. The first Saturday of every month at 10 o'clock. I think this is gonna air a little later beyond that, but in my mind, I am West African. My parents are Liberian. I'm West African. Afro beats is becoming a thing. I want to do an Afro beats yoga. I want to introduce people. I mean,
Yeah.
so I would say they do play more songs, more Afro beat songs on the local radio, but I listen to Afro beats a lot,
Hmm.
and I want to introduce it to people because I feel like a lot of the songs they make me feel good. They like African songs are about having a
Yeah.
good time. They're about having a good time. They're about falling in love, or they're about getting your money. Things that people can relate to, you know. And so I want to do an Afrobeats yoga. I am a Dallas native. I want to do an Erica Badu, all Erica yoga.
Hey.
Right, right. And so, I mean, I will try to pick a theme for each month.
Hmm.
But definitely that's something I'm going to be taking on this year.
Nice. And say the hotel again.
The Highland Hotel, if you're in Dallas, it's off of 75 and Mockingbird. They have
Okay.
a yoga room in their spa. And so, yeah, it's in the spa. They got 2 rooms, and valet is complimentary. Don't be intimidated, like, oh, I want to pay for valet, then I got to pay for the class. Like, no, valet is free. Valet is free. And usually we'll do yoga and meditation, and you can do one or the other, or you can do both classes for $25. So
Nice.
yoga is one class at 10 o'clock, and then meditation, it's like a 45-minute meditation. Since the pandemic, people want to better understand meditation. People are
Yeah.
getting into it more. They want to understand, they want tools. And so I help them learn about their breathing patterns, try to help them cool down, calm down, and really just try to help the mind from wandering, right? Help them bring it back into their breath to help them get into a more of a meditative state.
Love that. So since we're
Yeah.
talking about that, could you tell me or walk me through what an experience with flow would feel like? If I were to walk into your class, what kind of experience would I have?
For meditation or for yoga or both?
Either or both.
Okay. So we'll talk about meditation. So for meditation, it's a conversation. When people walk in, I usually ask like, what brought you here? Like where are you at in your meditation practice and what are you trying to gain from it? Right. So we initially have a conversation. I usually provide like 5 tips to help people meditate, which I can share here. So my first tip would be to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to have a moment to yourself. A lot of times
Hmm.
when we take out time to ourselves, we feel guilty about it. Or you feel like, damn, I could be being more productive. I need to do this. I need to do this. Like you don't really give yourself the grace to be still and to really work on yourself. So for one, give yourself permission to do so.
Yes.
Create ambiance. I'm sitting here. I know y'all can see I got like my meditate. I like this is my little meditation corner in the corner of my room. But I got all these decorative pillows. I got like soft velvets. Like I created this space, right? So create
Yes.
a space that's comfortable for you. If you're at home, create that space. Um,
Yeah.
and then start with 2 minutes. Set a timer for 2 minutes and just start with your breathing. Always start with your breathing. Start with deep breaths in from the belly. Allow it to rise within the chest. And then as you exhale, allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears and create that space. 3 deep breaths helps you reset in any situation, but begin with your breath,
Mm.
begin with your breath. And if the mind wanders, come back to your breath. And if you have thoughts, label them. That's probably one of my key tips. So you have to
I like
recognize, like, okay, I'm planning. Oh, I'm reflecting on something. Like, I'm remembering something of the past. I'm reflecting. I'm thinking in advance. I'm
that.
planning. Like, you have to sort of identify why you're not truly in this present moment And as I said, give yourself permission to handle those things after the fact. But in the moment, just recognize like, oh, I can't pay the electricity bill right now. Let me focus on my breathing. You get what I'm saying? Like just giving
Yeah.
yourself that permission. But
Yeah.
I think starting with 2 minutes and just getting into deep breaths, allowing your breath to be very deep from the belly, very smooth without jerk, and very slow, and allow your exhale. Like I always say, breathe in what you need and then release the things you don't. And a lot of times we need to really release. So let that exhale be a little bit longer. Let that exhale be a little bit longer.
Yes. Man.
Yeah.
Ah,
But
I
those
love that.
those are solid tips, I think, to get someone started on a meditation practice. And then also go to YouTube. I know there's a lot of apps, and sometimes apps make you pay for certain things, but there's
Yeah.
quality guided meditations on YouTube. You use a guided one, and you have to find a voice that you're attracted to. Like some people may be like, "Oh my God, her voice is so annoying." Well, my voice sort of drops
That
when
is
I'm in
so
meditation.
important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my voice will drop when I'm obviously teaching meditation, but finding a voice that you resonate
Same.
with, there's a guy named Jason Stevenson and Michael Seeley, British guy. I don't know what it is, but his voice resonates with me. And so I actually listen to
Yeah.
him a lot. But yeah, finding a voice that's like, oh, okay, and just taking it from there. Go to YouTube. Don't make it too complicated.
I love all of those tips that you just gave. That and the talking about the finding a voice that works or at least resonates with you. Oh my gosh, that's so important because I have done that where it like in an in-person class where I couldn't get past the instructor's voice because it was just setting something off in my mind that just kept like pinging a nerve, and I'm like, this isn't going to be the class that I need today.
You're like, this isn't it. I got you. No, it is.
Man,
It's a thing. It's legit. Yeah, you have to find something. I mean, everyone has a preference with everything in life. You got a preference and you got choices. So find something that works for you, right?
one last question that I have for you before we start wrapping things up. And you've kind of started talking about it a little bit with the tips you gave with meditation, but it's a two-part question that I've been asking since the beginning of this whole thing. What advice would you give to those that are looking to start their practice or their journey through yoga? And what advice would you give to those that are looking to move past practitioner only and get into instruction as well?
For
Yes.
those looking to get into yoga, I would say majority yoga studios have an introductory rate or like a week pass. Try it for a week. Try it for a week. Use it as like speed dating and or speed dating. I say speed dating because you can switch it up, right? But for a month or 2 months,
Yes.
just try out new studios because each teacher, going back to what you just said, the same way you have to find a voice that matches you, you need to find an instructor that you resonate with. Don't go to one studio and think it's one and done.
Yes.
So use their introductory offer. That's usually probably their best rate, and try to find one that works for you. And be gentle with yourself. Understand that depending on where your body's at that day, what your body has gone through, every day you step on that mat is different. There will be days that you are killing it physically and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm on top of the world. I love yoga. And there's days where you can't do what you did 2 days ago. And you're like, what's going on? That's part of the process, and just enjoy getting to learn your body because unlike many other physical activities, in yoga, you learn your body. A lot of other physical
Mhm.
activities are reactive. Someone throws you a ball, you react. When you jump, you catch it, right? But in yoga, we're
Yeah.
responsive. We're responsive. We have the opportunity to think before I step forward into that next move. Let me think about it and be intentional with it. So respond to
Yes.
your body and enjoy the process of discovering your body. For me, That's the beauty of yoga. And then if you are looking to
Ah,
be an instructor, if you are looking to be an instructor, well, congratulations for wanting to take on this journey as a yoga instructor. There's many blessings behind it. I feel like we get to help people in ways that you would never think, right? Once you're like, oh, I want to be a yoga
yes.
instructor, like you don't even fathom, you don't even grasp the ways in which you really get to help people physically, mentally, emotionally. It's pretty dope. And so I encourage
Yeah.
you to, whatever the journey takes you, know that you can do it, know that you have the passion for a reason, and I encourage you to pursue it.
Man, you said a word. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh. So Flo, tell us where we can find you on the social media front and anywhere else.
Okay. So all the shameless plugs. So my personal page, I'll give you my personal. My personal is Flow 24/7. It's Flow on Instagram, Flow 24_7. Because that's where you can find me 24/7, right? Easy to remember. My business page, my page about my yoga retreats, upcoming events, that's Refined Flow. So that's REFINED, refined, past tense, flow, FLOW, like yoga flow. Um, Upcoming retreats, I am going to Bali in April, Bali, April 9th through 13th. Going to Jamaica. So actually, we're debating between Jamaica or Dominican Republic in June 8th through 12th, I believe. So that retreat is is called Fit and Refined. That's not just yoga. That's going to be, the first day is going to be body weight training, like where we'll use our, like it'll probably be lower body. So you doing squats, it'll be like physical. The second day we'll
Yeah.
use resistance bands, and then day 3 is cardio. So Fit and Refined is about
Ooh.
having the flexibility training, strength training, and cardiovascular training. It's a more physical retreat in comparison to the other ones. It's not just yoga. The yoga is really just the warm
And you
up and
said
the
this is the
cool
one
down.
that's in April?
No, this is the one that's in June, in the summer.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm all over the
Okay,
place.
gotcha.
So April is in Bali, and that is a yoga retreat, strictly yoga meditation, but heavy on the yoga. June is Fit
Gotcha.
and Refined, and that's more fit and refined. It's about physical activity, fitness. So we have the 3 elements of fitness incorporated. And then in October, I will be teaming up with Kim Fisher with Brown Girls Meditate, and we're going to have a retreat, Refine Your
Nice.
Mind, and we're looking to do that in the Denver area. We're still actually exploring areas,
Ooh,
but we're looking to do that. We want like cabin feels, like fall cabin feels.
yeah.
That's what we're going for. So we're looking at Denver, or Denver area, Denver adjacent. And that is going to be heavy on the meditation, yoga and meditation. You know, Kim is like definitely meditation guru, and I'll bring the yoga, she'll bring the meditation, and that is going to be October 5th. I think it's Columbus weekend. Is that Columbus weekend in October? But that weekend. So a lot of people have that Monday off. So hit us up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Nice.
all of my retreats and even some of my local classes are on refinedflow.com, or follow me on Instagram. Check me out. I'd love to have you all.
I love it. The lineup you have for 2023 is dope as hell. I wish you nothing but the best on
I
every single
appreciate
one of
that.
them. It sounds amazing. Ugh.
Thank you.
And
I
as soon as
appreciate that.
you said Jamaica, and I thought you meant that was for the April one, because April 13th is my birthday. Like,
Oh,
that would
really?
be dope to go back to Jamaica for my birthday. But can I swing it that soon? I don't know.
That's why we got the payment plans.
But
But
man,
no. April will be in Bali, but June we're going to Jamaica. We're actually
nice.
debating between Dominican Republic or Jamaica. Um, but I think
Yeah.
a lot of people like Jamaica. What do you think? Let me ask you, what are your thoughts? Dominican Republic, Jamaica, or we thought about Cartagena, Colombia?
Ooh. Well, see, I've only been to Jamaica. and I absolutely loved it to
Right.
the point where I'm like, what if I just stalk as many resorts as I can to try to sign on as their yoga instructor and just live on the resort for a few months and then, get all the fix that I need because I loved it there so much.
Right.
So I'm a little biased.
Fair enough.
But
Fair
I
enough.
would say Colombia sounds really nice too. I've heard some nice things about it. So I don't know. That's a tough choice. Ooh,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So we're gonna figure that
yeah.
out in open registration by the end of this month. I do feel like we're leaning
Nice.
probably more towards returning back to Jamaica because for me, the food in Jamaica is good. I like the food. And yes, yeah, right, right. Um, yeah, Jamaica was dope. So, I mean, I like the music, all of that. So, Jamaica, Cartagena was equally as fun. I've been there on vacation, not for a retreat though. And then Dominican Republic, I haven't been, but my friend has, and she said like they have really good resorts there. So, that's what we were tossing around. But we'll see, we'll
Nice.
see. But I mean, I was gonna tell you,
I mean, no
there
matter
are.
what you choose,
Thank you.
go
But
ahead.
there are work exchange programs where you can go teach on a resort. There are no, for real. I thought about it. Like I thought about doing this for a
Need,
while. Like I said,
need it.
after I left corporate, I was like, so let me go live these dreams out. Maybe I just move on an island somewhere. Then the pandemic hit. Then the pandemic hit. But no, I was really looking into it, and there are programs where you can go do that. So yeah, try it out.
I'm gonna look into that because,
Yeah.
man, I was just sitting on the beach watching, or no, I was sitting on the balcony of my room because I woke up too late to go to the class, and I was just watching them. I'm like, I could do that. Why don't I do
Why don't you do
that?
that?
I was
Look,
like,
get your
let's just
affairs
do
in
it.
order, right? Get your affairs in order,
Yes.
and then yes, go teach in the morning, teach a little 9 o'clock yoga class, and then go have some
And
drinks by the
just
pool.
exactly all day, just kicking
Right,
it.
perfect.
Well, Flo, thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely delightful.
Thank you
Is
so
there
much for
anything else
having
that,
me.
yeah, of course, of course. Anything else that you'd like to share before we leave?
No, that's it. I mean, I encourage you all to continue your yoga practice. The things that bend don't break. Take it from me. As someone who ruptured their Achilles, things that bend don't break. I love yoga and I love seeing our community grow. I thank you so much for having me. And I've seen some of the other people that you've had featured, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to just our community of Black yogis and Black wellness and health just becoming more the norm. So yeah, thank you for having me
Yes.
on your platform and for just even starting it, right? Because I know there was probably a thought process and everything behind it, but the fact that you stepped out there and are making it happen, like, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for becoming part of the family and helping with, normalizing Black yoga and wellness in this country, all over the world. I mean, especially with you all over the world for sure. So thank you for your contributions to the movement because it's important, it's needed.
Thank you so much. But yes, you all hit me up, DM me, email me, and I will send you all whatever information I do know. I'm willing to share. I'm willing to share. I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for joining in on this episode. I am signing off. Me and Flo out of here for the night.
Peace out.
Peace
Y'all have a
out.
good weekend. Bye bye.
Hey there, Tierney again. I know you just finished the podcast episode and you're probably wanting to just go about your business or listen to the next one, but I have some exciting news. We're monetizing the podcast now. I know. This is so cool. This is so cool. But anyway, with that said, we are now able to take donations directly from the podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify, head to the show notes and there is a link there that you can click to provide your support. If you are not listening on Spotify, we still got you covered. You can either go to the website or go to our link tree by way of our Instagram bio link. Your money would go towards supporting this platform in all of its ways, keeping the podcast alive, giving us the ability to offer programming in the future. And those programs will look like classes, workshops, and so much more. There's a lot planned for this platform and can't do it without your help. So if you do have it within you to help us out, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate everything that you all do for this community here. Be blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Yoga in Black podcast. New episodes air every Tuesday. Next episode, I'll chat with Jasmine Hambrick. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, and iHeartRadio, or check us out on YouTube. And if you want to connect with us, head to our website, www.yogainblack.net, on Instagram @yoga.inblack, and on Facebook as Yoga in Black. See you next week.